Welcome back to another episode of Coming Out. I'm Gabriel Paez, your host. Today is a pleasure to have former Senator Annette Taddeo with us today, who's also running for Chief Financial Officer of the state of Florida. Senator, a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to Coming Out. It's always a pleasure to see you and to hear from you. So, what do you got to say for us? You're running for CFO of the state of Florida.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
This is great, and I look forward to the conversation and to answering any questions from anyone listening. But I will say that yes, I am running for CFO. This came about suddenly in the last week of qualifying was when I announced, but it was not a decision I took lightly. It was actually a tough decision. Running statewide is not easy in the state of Florida, and I know that from experience. But I will say this. The situation that we find ourselves, not just in our country, but in our state specifically, and the fact that we have people, for example, with their insurance where it doubled, then it tripled, and the people in Tallahassee, running Tallahassee, has been only one-sided. We don't have any balance. This is not the time to stand on the sidelines. This is the time to fight and to really try to bring back that balance to Florida, bring back a person like myself who is a watchdog and someone who cares tremendously to make sure that our community has a voice, not those insiders or those well-connected, which is what we currently have. And so it's not just an affordability crisis, it's an insurance crisis, as well as a corruption crisis. And I am running to make sure that we have that watchdog in the CFO's office, which is supposed to be the role of the CFO, instead of a lapdog. And that's why I'm in this race.
The role of the CFO, what else is involved in the CEO, parameters?
Most people are not even aware this is a cabinet level position.
Right.
The CFO, we only have 3 cabinet level positions in the governor's cabinet. So first of all, just in the cabinet alone, that one vote out of the 3 that are there is extremely important. But it's also, again, having that balance, asking the questions, and not just being somebody who rubber stamps whoever the governor may be, and whoever may be the political party in power, which in our case has been only one side for the last 30 years. So we need to make sure that this position, which also is the fire marshal, it actually oversees the consumer side. You are supposed to represent the consumers when it comes to insurance. So although the CFO doesn't set the rates, the CFO has a huge role when it comes to the insurance situation. And I know this very well because when I served in the Florida Senate for the 2 times that I was elected to go up there, I served on banking and insurance in the Senate, in the committee, and we constantly were fighting the insurance companies and fighting for people, which they kept taking away the rights of people when it comes to insurance, taking away the rights to actually get your house fixed after a hurricane, for example. And the insurance rates just kept going up. We gave them a bailout of $3 billion. I say we, meaning Florida, we, the taxpayers, not me. I didn't vote for this. But I really believed in that point. I was fighting. Can we pass some of that to the homeowners? Can we try just a 5% reduction, a tiny reduction, but just put something in writing? No, it will be passed on to the homeowners. And yet the homeowners have seen that it doesn't happen. And then we also have citizens insurance, which is the insurance of last resort, which most people in South Florida end up having to have it because that is is the insurance of last resort, and that is the what many people who are in high prone areas, as they call it, such as South Florida, even though we haven't been hit in a really long time, it's still we're paying the highest, the highest insurance in the nation when it comes to our home. We also pay very high insurance, one of the highest in the nation when it comes to our cars. So there is so much that we need that watchdog in this position that truly looks out. And look, I understand I am not some extremist. I understand I am a businesswoman. I understand that we need them to succeed. By them, I mean the insurance companies, and we need competition.
Of course.
But there also is this issue where insurance companies have been able to hide all of their gains and the money they make, claiming that it, is proprietary information, all of their documentation on finances, which I find really interesting because we do know that they actually hide the money by sending the money out of state to their parent company or subsidiary, and it is really very important for us to understand that they're making a tremendous amount of money, but when it comes time to pay the homeowners and when a situation hits, they're like, oh, we don't have any money, we're going broke. It's because they sent all the money elsewhere. You have some CEOs of these companies making $20 million a year. The CFO of these companies, same company, for example, making $18 million a year.
We have senators who are also scamming or scam Medicare,
We have a lot of corruption. And that's why I mentioned corruption as well. So thank you for bringing up corruption because it is really, really appalling. I actually have just called out my opponent. My opponent is an unelected CFO. The CFO position was left open due to the former CFO running for Congress in a special election. So the governor got to appoint the current CFO. And the current CFO has not really been looking at the corruption right under his nose. There is so much stuff that needs to be looked into. For example, Alligator Alcatraz.
Oh my God.
We know that we've spent $1.2 billion at Alligator Alcatraz. And when you look at the contracts, you're able to follow the money. And I'm only going to talk about the money because really I want people to understand that when they say we want to save taxpayers' money, when they say we're looking out for your money, they are not. They're just really making sure that their friends, well-connected people are making a ton of money. When you're spending over $200 million on portable toilets, a company called Duty Calls. And I'm not making this up. It's so
I saw
funny,
that.
but yes, and no bid contracts, no bid contracts. Now, where does the CFO comes in with all this?
Right.
The CFO is supposed to audit these no bid contracts, and yet looking the other way because these same people getting the no bid contracts, like CDR Enterprises, which got millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in no-bid contracts of emergency fund money. Now, I want people to understand emergency funds are the funds that are supposed to go when we get hit by a hurricane.
So FEMA money?
No.
Not even FEMA money.
I wish it was FEMA money. It is our money, our state dollars that goes into our emergency fund, and FEMA money comes in if we get hit and that kind of stuff. But we have our own emergency fund for hurricanes, fires, which we do have, and we've had them right here in our community recently because we are in that season. So that money is supposed to go to that, and it has gone to these contracts where we have just discovered, for example, that we are spending a tremendous amount of money, $1 million per day we were spending to run Alligator Alcatraz. And this is just one example. And when I was talking about CDR Enterprises with hundreds of millions of dollars in contracts, My opponent got $100,000 to his political committee from CDR Enterprises. No wonder
Nice.
he's not auditing these no-bid contracts. No wonder he's looking the other way. I mean, you follow the money and you're able to see where the corruption is. And it is corruption.
But it's curious that he'll look the other way on this one because he's benefiting, but he's the one who's implementing Florida Doge on behalf of the governor.
He's calling it
Right.
FAFO, which, for those of you who don't know, FAFO stands for F around and find out.
Right.
Well, I have to tell you, the real effing around and finding out is right under his nose because we're able to see what's going on. Yes, he is saying, oh, look, blue counties,
Right.
blue cities are spending all this money when, by the way, many of them, and I'm not saying they're perfect, they're not, but many of them, their budgets, most of their budgets goes to unfunded mandates from Tallahassee. They tell them, you got to do this, you got to do that, but they don't give them the money to do that. And it has to come out of their budget. In addition to that, many of the counties, it includes their fire and police budgets. Is my opponent suggesting we defund the police? These are questions we need to ask ourselves. And I also think that the CFO's office should go after corruption no matter where it is.
Exactly.
Whether it's blue or red,
red,
Republican or Democrat. And that's my biggest issue with all of that, is that it's very convenient.
And selective.
Very selective. In Orange County, they did this whole audit and they found that the poet laureate got some extra funding, a few $1,000s for gas reimbursement. Really? That's where we're spending our time? Meanwhile, right here in South Florida at Alligator Alcatraz, we're able to see all this money. And by the way, for those people who are going to say, oh, but the federal government is going to refund us
Right.
this money.
What percentage is getting?
First of all, the federal government can only refund us about 600 million of that. The problem is they've only sent 58 million. And when you're spending so much more than the average per day, per prisoner, I think the federal government is saying, why is this costing so much more than the rest of the country and the rest of the places where they are holding immigrants? So it is because they're lining the pockets of their donors who then turn around and give them money for their campaigns, like my opponent receiving $100,000 from CDR Enterprises.
Is the CFO also responsible for monitoring donations like they were to Hope Florida?
Well, yes and no. Hope Florida, thank you for bringing that up, because Hope Florida, if that's not corruption, I don't know what is. If that's not wrongdoing, I don't know what is. And so people understand Hope Florida was money from a Medicaid settlement that is supposed to go to sick kids. And they took that money, $10 million, and they used it in political campaign ads. Well, like the fact that this is not being audited, because, by the way, that's the role of the CFO. You are supposed to make sure that whatever money came into the coffers is used for its intended purposes.
Right.
So, no, he has created this fake ass audit kind of situation instead of doing the real audits on the real corruption that we should be looking at. And I am appalled by that. And that is why I'm running. We need a real CFO. We need somebody who will be that watchdog, nonpartisan. I know it's a partisan race. That's okay. But when I got elected as a Democrat, the first Latina Democrat in Florida history, right here in Miami-Dade, and then reelected, I never ever went there thinking, I'm here to represent my party. No, I was there to represent everyone, including those people that didn't vote for me.
Oh, yes.
And I actually gained a reputation when I was there as someone who worked across the aisle, whatever it took to help the people of Florida, to represent all the people of Florida.
And that's the right way to govern, or legislate, or...
And that's why I talked about balance.
Right.
Because I really think whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an MPA, which, by the way, we have one of the largest no party affiliation states where, pretty much a third of our state is no party affiliation, and they decide many of these statewide races. I mean, people are fed up with both parties.
Exactly.
And why is that? Because we do go to extremes, we don't work together, and more importantly, there's no delivery. There's no right now people can't afford to live here, and they're looking for ways to campaign and to pretend to do things like they're going after and they really care, but they're not. They're just really looking to maintain control so that their friends can continue to get rich off of your taxpayer dollars, and that is unacceptable.
It is, and what I keep hearing from Gen Zs and other generations currently is that they're getting priced out. They can't even stay within their community. Salaries are down.
They have not kept up with inflation.
No, and they're being priced out so bad that they're having to leave the state.
Listen,
and professionals as well too.
Oh, yes, this is not just hardworking folks.
Yeah.
At an hourly wage, we are talking about everyone. It is very, very tough in Florida, and I will tell you, I know that's one of the reasons why I'm harping so much on insurance, because it does affect your everyday pocketbook. This is something, whether it's car insurance, home insurance, by the way, renters as well, because
sure.
The reason the rent is so high is because the insurance is so high. And I think it's really important that we get this under control, and we have someone that's going to go there to fight for those consumers, to fight for those people who are paying the taxes but not getting the benefits. Our average, most people nowadays, which is shocking, that are able to buy a home are 40 years old. In our history as a country and in Florida, that has not been the case for a long time, but people are really not, young people are not able to afford or even think of buying a home. And that's really unacceptable that dream,
that American dream is kind of like faded away.
And even the affordable housing is unaffordable. You sit there and you look at it and you go, that's affordable? It really is very, very tough. And the groceries, everything. The affordability crisis is real. And again, when you elect people who claim to care, but you follow the money and you're able to see how it's all a game to them, and they and their friends are literally living off of your tax dollars, then that's not okay. We need that balance. We need to have those voices that are going to stand up for the people.
You get elected November. What is your first priority?
My first priority would be to really make sure that this department and the wonderful people that work within the department understand that we are not going to be partisan, that we are going to go after corruption wherever it is, that the insurance companies understand that it's time to really come to the table and talk about how to reduce these rates, not just for their side, in the sense that they have been able to do whatever they want at the legislature, pass bills that don't even allow you to hire a lawyer without you having to pay. And people don't hire a lawyer unless they're at their wit's end
Right.
with the insurance company. So and I will tell you, I'm also going to really look out for the influence of AI when it comes to our government. And by that, I mean, a lot of companies, and we also regulate banking, a lot of companies are now using AI for lots of decisions. And I understand that. I understand that it's here. And, but I'm very concerned when you don't have that human element, and you need to make sure that there are parameters in place so that if you are denied for a loan just based on AI, or you are denied on a claim on insurance just based on AI, and there is no human overseeing this, there is no way to appeal the decision. All of that we need to look at. And I think that
That's
because
interesting.
it moves so fast, we haven't thought, and that is not something that you need to go to the legislature to pass a bill. This is something that is within the department and within the purview for you to be able to
Make it
set
different.
rules.
Right.
The rulemaking strength and the rulemaking power is essential, that we're constantly in this position thinking of how to help the people. And unfortunately, we've had CFOs for a really long time now that have been there to help the big companies that they are supposed to regulate and oversee. And there is a balance. And we need that balance, and we need that voice to really say to them, wait a minute, let's step back a little bit and let's look at ways in which we can make sure this is done in a fair way so that we don't harm our Floridians in that process.
I hear you speak, and I hear you say a lot about insurance. You know, I have a lot of friends who have already paid off their homes. They don't have insurance.
Do you blame them?
No.
I mean, it's really just, it's appalling that we're at that stage, but that's where we are.
Well, and my spouse and I are at that stage myself, and we have fire and we have liability, but that's it. We do not have, hurricane, because $13,000 a year or more.
I know. And that's what's so interesting. People talk about the taxes, and I say to them, your insurance is a lot more than your taxes.
Oh, triple.
So do you know why they're doing this? They want you to look at that shiny object, but they don't want you to look at the real issue,
right?
Which is insurance.
Yes.
Come on. I know that citizens exist to try to help people, such as you guys, and I mean, you're lucky, and your friends are lucky that they were able to really, start working out and putting that money towards paying off the homes so that they no longer had to. But most people have a loan.
Exactly. The majority are
required. And that is a problem. And let me tell you, this is a problem also for banking. This is a problem for real estate, because again, we're seeing a lot more homes on the market now than we are buyers. That means there is a problem, and that means we are no longer in this seller's market. It's not good for anyone. It's certainly not good for our economy. We're starting to see the numbers of we know what's coming for Florida, and it's
hard times.
Good. It is hard times. And that's why so many people are tightening their budgets and really looking for that rainy day fund and all that stuff. It really is very, very, very scary what we're walking into. And we need to make sure that, again, we have the right people there who are going to look out for Floridians.
And it's interesting how you say that the taxes are a lot less, but the reduction of these taxes are going to impact our daily living. everything. I mean, talk about defunding police,
the police,
defunding fire.
Yes.
If you think your pothole is going to get fixed, it's not. If you think you're going to get an emergency call answered in 2 minutes.
But by the way, here's the irresponsible part. And this is what I talk about, irresponsibility. When you only care about campaigns and talking points and you don't truly look at it from a perspective of let's look out for the taxpayers. Our bonds are set. And they're usually AAA bonds, and we do quite well with our government bonds, but county level, city level. Do you know what this will do to those bonds? It will mean that the taxpayers are going to be paying more in interest for those bonds, and those bonds are how you build a road, you build a bridge, you upgrade things that are run down. So the homeowners may end up paying more. And that's the part that's very concerning, where don't think that you don't still have to pay for police. You still have to pay for fire. They took out the schools, which is good, but they didn't take out all these other things. There are constitutional offices, even elections. They're funded by those tax dollars. All these things are essential.
Yes.
And so we need to think, my concern is if it looks too good to be true, it probably ain't true.
Amen to that one.
And so I just say to people, be careful. And could it be that they're just trying to make sure that you don't talk about the real expense for Floridians, which is their insurance?
And that crisis that's about to hit. As we come to a close, we could sit here for hours and keep on discussing, but unfortunately, time is precious. I leave you the floor to your constituents and what you see the future can be with you being elected.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. And to all of you, I'm Annette Taddeo, and I am running for CFO to be your guard dog, your watchdog, your person that is going to look out for you and your tax dollars, whether it be about insurance or whether it be about corruption. I call it Annette's 3 A's: affordability, accountability, and anti-corruption. These are the 3 pillars of why I'm running for CFO. I would love your vote. We do have a primary in August and then in November. Thank you so much. I look forward to serving you again and being that voice that we all deserve.
On that note, I wish you well. I wish you much luck, and we are always welcome here at Coming Out. So when you get elected and your primary, come back on and we'll talk.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk more about general election issues. On that note, we'll see you next time. Thank you.